Hi students, myself Saket, and today I am going to discuss a very confusing and always the questions are coming from this topic. Many times my question asks me that why the level of progesterone and estrogen when in OCP, oral contraceptive pill, we are either using either progestogen or progestogen-estrogen combination. So how that progestogen and estrogen combination by giving the pills increase in the female blood, and how it stops the ovulation, how it stops the implantation, and how it alters the quality of cervical mucus to prevent or retard the entry of sperm. So the reason behind this is what? First of all, see, if high level of progesterone and high level of estrogen, both of these, high level of progesterone as well as high level of estrogen, both acts on the hypothalamus and inhibits the secretion of GnRH, means gonadotropin releasing hormone. If the gonadotropin releasing hormone will not be secreted, then what will happen? You all know that gonadotropin releasing hormone secreted from the hypothalamus act on the anterior lobe of pituitary and stimulate the secretion of gonadotropin hormone. The two main gonadotropin hormones are what? FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So if FSH and LH will not secrete, then what will happen? If FSH will not secrete, then the primary follicle inside the ovary will not convert into secondary follicle, secondary will not convert into tertiary follicle, and tertiary will not convert into Graafian follicle. Okay, so for the ovulation, what we require? The Graafian follicle. If a Graafian follicle will be cut down, then only the secondary oocyte will come into the fallopian tube. Okay, and see, this high level of either progesterone or progesterone estrogen, both high level, inhibits the secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormones. So LH and FSH secretion from the anterior pituitary also what get decreases. So if LH will not be secreted, then what will happen? Ovulation will never take place. Why? Because the LH cut the Graafian follicle and takes out the secondary oocyte. That is called as what? Ovulation. And this cutting of the Graafian follicle by the high level of LH hormone is called as what? LH surge. So that will not take place because LH is not there. Okay. And moreover, one more point I want to tell you here is what? High level of progesterone increases the glandular activity of endometrium of uterus, endometrium wall of uterus. So because of the high glandular activity, a very thick, scanty mucus is secreted from the endometrium. So the quality of mucus becomes so thick, then after that if any copulation takes place, the sperms get trapped into that mucus and can't able to reach up to the ampulla where the fertilization supposed to be happen. So in this, it alters the quality of cervical mucus to prevent or retard the entry of sperm. It prevent the ovulation. How? To stop the release of FSH and LH. So this is a negative feedback inhibition. Okay, in negative feedback inhibition, what happening? See, the negative feedback means what? The product, whatever the product forming in the reaction, that is only inhibiting the function of its enzyme. For example, negative feedback inhibition, one thing I am telling you, if you see the first step of glycolysis, okay, glucose is converting into the glucose 6-phosphate in the presence of hexokinase enzyme. Then what happens? After the formation of glucose 6-phosphate, the glucose 6-phosphate stops the activity of hexokinase. This is what? Negative inhibition. That means if anyone is giving me food and I am killing that person, so that is what? Negative feedback. So because of hexokinase, only glucose 6-phosphate is formed from the glucose, and glucose 6-phosphate, instead of saying thank you to the hexokinase, it is suppressing the activity of hexokinase. This is called as what? Negative feedback. And similarly here also negative feedback mechanism is working. High level of progesterone and estrogen, that high level of progesterone comes because of LH hormone only, and progesterone high level, estrogen high level, they suppresses the activity of LH and FSH. You know that the estrogen is secreted by the activity of FSH because of FSH, the secondary follicle converting into tertiary follicle, and from the theca interna cell of the tertiary follicle, estrogen is released. Okay, so this FSH and LH are helping only in the secretion of estrogen and progesterone, but high level of estrogen and progesterone inhibits the secretion of what? LH and FSH. So this is what? Negative feedback inhibition. Okay, one more example of negative feedback inhibition I am telling to you. Thyroid. If in your blood the level of thyroxine hormone increases, then what will happen? they inhibits the secretion of TRH from the hypothalamus, thyroid releasing hormone from the hypothalamus. And if TRH will not be secreted, actually TRH of the hypothalamus acts on the anterior lobe of pituitary and stimulates the secretion of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone acts on the thyroid and helps in secretion of thyroxine. So if high level of thyroxine in your blood inhibits what? Release of TRH, and if TRH will not be secreted, then TSH will also not be secreted. If TSH will not secreted, then thyroxine will not secreted. This is also a negative feedback inhibition. Now positive feedback, okay, in hormonal action. For example, you know about the fetal ejection reflex. Okay, in that what happened? The fully developed fetus and placenta, they induce a small uterine contraction. Because of that, what happened? Oxytocin is released. Okay, so this is positive, and if the contraction of the myometrium of the uterus increases further, more and more contraction, more quantity of oxytocin is released from the mother pituitary. So this is what? More contraction, increase the release of oxytocin. This is positive feedback. Second is what? When baby suck the milk from the mammary gland of the mother, at that time the neurons which are present in the mammary gland, they get stimulated. As they stimulate more, they send signal to the anterior pituitary for the release of more quantity of prolactin. More and more baby is sucking the milk, and more the neuron will be activated, and more production of prolactin from the anterior pituitary takes place. So this is the positive feedback. And I hope you all understood this. So be clear about your doubts. If any doubts, you can ask me, you can comment below. Thank you.